During the Wild West years of YouTube, a Japanese film on my recommendations caught my attention. It was a film I remembered some of my classmates making fun of at the time, so I did what any impressionable teenager would do and clicked on the film. The film centered around middle schoolers chosen to take part in a competition on a remote island, except the competition involved having 3 days to fight each other to the death. It didn't take long before I was completely absorbed by the absurdity of the film's cartoonish depiction of survival violence. The senseless murders and the after effects of committing such heinous acts kept me glued to my computer monitor, eager to see where the film was going with all of this. That film was Battle Royale, and it was my first taste of the death games genre. For some years, the death games genre has been hugely popular, spawning countless series and movies, even becoming a central concept for competitive gaming shows. The majority of people, such as myself, have a fixation on stories involving participants being pitted against one another with catastrophic consequences. And it's easy to see why. The tension from its bleak atmosphere, the obstacles characters are confronted with, or subverting viewers' expectations of who will next pay the price of failure, these are just a few of the many reasons why death games tick all the boxes of binge-worthy television. And that is what I want to explore in this video. Before I get into what makes death games so damn fun to watch, I have to explain what death games is first. So let's start with that. A death game or battle royale refers to the narrative or scenario in which a group of individuals are forced into a deadly competition, usually with the objective of being the last person or team standing. The concept often involves participants who must eliminate each other until only one survivor remains. Contestants must navigate dangerous environments, facing not only the difficulty of external challenges, but also the threat of other participants. The death games genre can be traced back to the success of the previously mentioned Japanese film Battle Royale, directed by Kinji Fukasaku. Taking the deathmatch concept and combining the plot with political intrigue, the film's exploration of survival and a strict authoritarian regime served as an outlet for the brutality of social exclusion that plagues Japan's society. This is echoed in these students fighting each other to the death, representing how competitive Japan's academic system is. However, the depiction of teenagers engaging in lethal combat was so shocking a premise that the film was hugely controversial at the time. This led to bans and restrictions from numerous countries, which ironically fueled its popularity. The outcome of this was revolutionizing the death games genre, leading to its influence on numerous TV shows, movies, and even animes. Taking this survival match concept to tell its own stories on the exploration of human nature under extreme circumstances. This continual growth and expansion allowed for death games to become a recognizable subgenre in itself. Take for instance the highly entertaining Batum, where the protagonist wakes up on a tropical island only to find out that he has been trapped in the real-life version of his favorite game. Realizing his life is in danger, he has to work alongside others, including his in-game wife, to seek out a way to return home. Another example is a personal favorite of mine, Kaiji, a series centered around a young man living with an overwhelming amount of debt, pressured into boarding a ship in the hopes of clearing his financial burdens. Here he plays a series of gambling games, and even though losing may not cost him his life, the punishment is severe enough to create some brilliant tension. Heck, it got me to care about a game of rock, paper, scissors. The fun in watching death games is in large part the gamification of survival seen in these types of media. No surprises there. There is a strange, almost primal excitement watching participants engage in various challenges to simply survive. The very thing we as humans are programmed to do, almost as if there is a comfort in imagining how we would fare in similar situations. And there are so many creative challenges included in these shows and movies that gamify the inherent desire to survive. Take for instance the Alice in Borderland Netflix TV series. In Season 2 Episode 4, the ever-mysterious Chizia plays the Jack of Hearts game, where players are equipped with an explosive collar upon entering the game. The objective being to correctly guess the playing card suit on the back of their collars to avoid the collar from being detonated. But at the same time, they need to eliminate one particular participant hiding among them, known as the Jack of Hearts, otherwise no one survives. So essentially, Mafia on crack. This game is insanely fun to watch. The moments in between each round where participants are free to interact with one another and strategize as a unit make for some suspenseful scenes. There is so much creativity on display to highlight the various ways participants manipulate the tools at their disposal to improve their chances of making it out alive. What makes death games worth the investment are the various predicaments characters are forced into. This is achieved because of numerous threats that exist within the environment and presents the audience with different facets of a character's personality, as well as how they approach these obstacles. For instance, participants could be dealing with the dangers of limited resources, and we, as the viewer, watch the horror that unfolds and puts the character's moral dilemma into question. These kinds of scenarios add an extra layer of strategy and unpredictability to the narrative. This is such an effective narrative tool that has the viewer invested in these characters and their dilemmas, to the point their failure can evoke so much emotional tension. But here's the thing, the consequences of failing a challenge or not overcoming an obstacle do not need to have life-threatening consequences to maintain that tension. A great example can be found in the shonen smash hit Blue Lock, a series centered around a little-known sport called football, in which 300 strikers enter a training program to train and compete against one another, with the winner of the program getting the chance to represent Japan's national football team. Each challenge is uniquely designed so that it's completed collaboratively with teammates. It's a simple enough knockout tournament premise, with the prize being a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, those who fail and are eliminated in the process can never represent Japan's football team. And that doesn't sound as bad as putting your life at risk, but almost every single person enrolled in this program has an obsessive desire to play for Japan. So even though failure means they still continue to live, their entire reason for existing is as good as dead. Meaning they will have to reinvent themselves in ways that probably don't involve football. Blue Lock does such a good job of building characters to be world beaters, only to then be humbled by much more skilled players, which makes watching these characters come to the realization that they may never achieve their dream absolutely heart-wrenching. This proves building the character's innate drive to progress through a competition can make imminent failure just as emotionally riveting as an on-screen death. But what I love about Blue Lock is it ties its narrative theme to addressing societal issues. The series explores the idea of developing enough ego to become a ruthless striker willing to annihilate another person's sole purpose of existing, something the totalitarian figures in Blue Lock take delight in witnessing as it advances their own goals without any regard for destroying others in the process. This neatly ties back to my first exposure to death games media when watching Battle Royale. I fondly remember how captivated I was by the film's concept on my first watch, a feeling I could not replicate when re-watching years later. But the film explored some serious issues entrenched within many real-world societies, and how this results in the brutal competitiveness against others. At its core, death games serve as an outlet for authoritative leaders using human beings as pawns to further their own agenda. However, the exploration of these intriguing ideas is not the main reason I watch death games. I'm going to be honest, I just enjoy watching dumb fun shows that have me invested in characters that are trying to destroy each other, no matter how ridiculous they can be. I'm looking at you, High Rise Invasion. Battle Royale's violent concept left a lasting impression on me, and the way other death game series adopted this with their own creative twists always manages to grab me, and that's despite how repetitive the tropes of these types of stories can become. I guess the whole point of me making this video was to emphasize how death games are one of my favorite ways to escape from my own life admin duties. There is a cathartic feeling watching these characters go through so much anguish and torment that it makes you forget about the worries of your own life. I sit down, relax, and watch a death game show or movie, which for at least a couple of hours makes me forget about the daily grind that is life.